Good morning. Really loud. We're going to. We're just going to start getting people to the center. Yes, yes. Good and happy morning, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us today. We're going to give you one more moment to be able to get to your seats. But we are starting on time. We have a dynamic agenda, and we have incredible speakers that are going to provide an update and a progress report on how the Boulder Way Forward has been going. So I'll just give people a few more minutes, or a few more seconds, to get to their seats. I invite everyone to get to their seats. Thank you. I so appreciate that you all listened. Thank you so much. And why wouldn't you? This is a room full of exceptional leaders. And so that is how I'm going to start off, is by greeting you. Good morning, family. Good morning, exceptional leaders. Good morning, Utah. So it is such an incredible pleasure to be with you today. My name is Nubia Pena, and I'm the Governor's Senior Advisor, as well as the Director for the Utah Division of Multicultural Affairs. And I have the great honor of being the MC for this experience. Now, we also want to welcome those that are joining us via live stream. So can we please give them a warm round of applause and show them some love? So people traveled from and are streaming in from across all of Utah to join us as we gather to celebrate the momentum that has been created since the launch of this movement 1 year ago. It has not always been easy, and it has required an army of leaders, volunteers, partners, and investors who were willing to shape and are interested in informing and uplifting the strategies that will create a critical shift in the needle to improve the well-being of Utah girls and women in our state. Yes, that's right. We should get excited about that. That's what we're here to do. Thank you. Thank you. And listen, I respond really well when there's a little bit of noise and excitement, so we welcome that today, right? That's the energy we want. Yes, thank you. So this summit is about celebrating Boulder Way Forward's achievements and recognizing the numerous individuals who got us to where we are at this moment. That is what this second annual summit is about. So thank you for joining us and choosing to be engaged in one of Utah's most important movements. As a state, we are doing amazing things and incredible achievements across various categories. We are the best economy 6 years now in a row and counting, the best place to achieve upward mobility and access to social capital, and the list goes on and on. But we hold tensions. We hold tensions with also being the last state in the nation for women's equality rankings, and a state where domestic violence and sexual assault continue to plague the safety of loved ones, with case rates outpacing states that have triple the population size. Our work and our passion is needed now more than ever. When you look around the room and you see a sister, a brother, a person that counts themselves as part of the Utah narrative, you are seeing a champion for this state becoming the best state for Utah's women and girls. I see a lot of familiar faces, so there are several of you who were here last year during the launch. But if you are new to this broader and collective movement, we welcome you, and we say thank you for showing up. Yes, again, oh, I love it. We're just hugging each other all day long. This is great. We hope that you leave feeling inspired to join the champions in this room who have committed to seeing Utah become the best state for girls and women. But before we get started, let me offer 3 suggestions to set your heart's intentions as you move through the day. I want you to ask questions, so remain curious. Be curious about the issues, and be willing to consider what's your role in addressing it. How can you get involved? Meet new people. It is only in solidarity and in community with each other that we will move the stumbling blocks out of the way for our path forward. And the third one is to be an advocate for a bolder way forward and join the many partners who are here, online, and across the state, innovating in their communities to address the gaps and concerns that girls and women face. It's important for me to note that this is not a conversation that is to the exclusion of our boys and men. They are equally excited for the sons, fathers, and children in our lives that we want to champion. But it's okay for us to have a concerted and targeted discussion and also make sure that we are creating a narrative of thriving for everyone that calls Utah home. So let's hold room for the people in our state that we want to be able to see succeed. Now, family, at this point, as I mentioned earlier, it does take an army to do this work. So we would like to thank our summit sponsors for their generosity, beginning with Zions Bank, as you see this beautiful building and everything that it offers us. The Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, I see that my sister Corianne Edwards is here representing them. AARP, ClearLink, Campbell Companies, the Utah Women in Leadership Project. We would also like to thank those who have donated to the Boulder Way Forward movement, which were recognized in the rotating slides in the last 30 minutes, and will of course be up again during the event so that we can continue to say thank you for investing and seeing value in this work. We couldn't do this without you and your support now and in the future, and we'll continue to knock on your doors to support the great work of changing the state so that it's the best state for our women and girls. In addition, we'd like to express gratitude to those who have supported and invested in the work of the Utah Women Leadership Project and thank the many partners engaged in A Bolder Way Forward since its inception. As part of the organizational structure, A Bolder Way Forward has created a compilation of champions across Utah sectors to help inform specific strategy and help bring awareness to the intersecting issues that are being tackled. If you are one of our champions in the audience, please stand and remain standing so that we can provide a collective applause at the end. I want to begin with Scott Anderson, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, Utah's First Lady Abby Cox, Ryan Starks, Nubia Pena, standing, Kristen Andrus, Becky Edwards, Sui Lang Pinoki, Mary Crafts, Teresa White, Tom Ross, Charlene Wells, Byron Russell, Senator Ann Milner, Reina Aburto, Clint Betts, Nikki Walker, Corianne Edwards, Jennifer Smith, Lisa Watts, Paula Fellingham, and Ruma Chopra. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you so very much, family, for again acknowledging and recognizing that these were really an incredible array of leaders across multiple sectors of industry, state government, public and private partnerships, because every single thought partner and leader is needed for the work. So before we invite our next speaker and our first speaker to the stage, let's take a moment to acknowledge the brilliance, light, and community that we are blessed to be in this morning. So please do me a favor and turn to the person next to you and lovingly greet them by saying, "Good morning, you exceptional leader." Okay, family, I said 3 words. Now turn to the person on the other side and say, "I am glad you are here." Okay, family, turn to me, face me. I didn't say have a conversation, face me. Thank you. And family, let me also honor and acknowledge you and feel the warmth, the love, and the gratitude that I express to you from this stage. Thank you, leaders, for being here. All right, family, it is now a pleasure to hear from Jennifer Smith, Corporate Executive Vice President and Chief Technology and Operations Officer for Zions Bank Corporation, one of our partners for making today possible, and one of our Boulder Way Forward champions. Jennifer, if you can join us on stage, and if you can please give her a round of applause.
What a joy to be in a room with hundreds of women and many men who care about the well-being of women and girls in all aspects of their lives. I had the honor on June 9th, 2023, to welcome all of you here. And at that time, we marked it as an historic occasion. An occasion when a movement began. A movement when we all collectively said, it is no longer okay for Utah to be ranked last in gender equality. It is not who we are. We have so much more potential, and we are today so much more than that ranking shared. When many of you came in the doors today, you would have seen a beautiful painting by Brian Kersishnik. It's called The Work of Many. Think about that painting. And now I'd like you may have to lift your heads a little bit, but look around this room. Just look around. There are hundreds of people here. There are hundreds of people on live stream as well. We are all here to support one another in this work. This work at times that can be tireless. It also can be full of joy. Now think about all of us standing on one another's shoulders, or maybe others are standing on our shoulders, doing this work, the work of many. This day is a continuation of that movement. Zions Bank, for over 150 years, has supported the economic agency of women, when not all banks, not all financial institutions in our country did so. We are so proud to be part of this work. And I want to welcome you to the Boulder Way Forward's second annual summit. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so very much, Jennifer. And our next speaker on our agenda is the incredible, remarkable, I fangirl over her all the time, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. So in 2020, Lieutenant Governor Henderson was elected as Utah's 9th Lieutenant Governor and serves as the state's second highest elected official, Chief Election Officer and Secretary of State. A consensus seeker, she assembles different points of view to find appropriate solutions to problems. She's a staunch advocate for expanding opportunities for all Utahns, but because I also have the privilege of working with and on behalf of the Cox-Henderson administration as a senior advisor, I want to go a little bit deeper than just her professional resume, which is obviously incredibly impressive. But family, I have to tell you, she is a loving wife, an incredible mother. She was a business owner. She is a historian. She has a passion for Utah, and she's an incredible friend. I just want to give you an example. During the legislative session, as you can just imagine, right, 900 bills being introduced into the session. It's a lot. But there were key things that were happening where she didn't pause to open a safe space in her office and invited the women in her cabinet to join her for lunch. Completely unprompted, completely without being asked. She just said, "Do you need a safe space?" And she created that. And so as Jennifer was talking that this work is hard and that we need each other, Lieutenant Governor Henderson does that every single day with the women that are standing right along with her. So I just wanted you to see she's brilliant, she's powerful, she's dynamic, she's a great friend, and she champions women in a very loving and compassionate manner. So if you can please give her a round of applause.
I adore Nubia, and we're so grateful to have her part of our administration. The state of Utah has really benefited from the work that Nubia has done and her perspective, and the passion that she brings day in and day out to her work. And there are so many other people in this room who day in and day out champion others and recognize that there are voices that have not been heard, and those voices deserve to be heard. I want to also give a shout out really quick as I get my iPad open here to the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Our administration has really tried hard to not just champion women and families and men and anyone who has been left behind, making sure that opportunities are open to all, but to intentionally work with other partners. We can't operate in a silo. Too often, especially in state government, we have our departments, we have our offices, we have our little roles, and it's easy to not look beyond ourselves and to not look beyond our roles and to just focus inwardly. But we have tried really hard as an administration to focus more outwardly, to partner, to see where we can bring synergy, because synergy is much, much, much more powerful than the sum of all the individual parts. And that's what I see in this room today, is synergy, and I'm so grateful for it. I have a few perspectives that I'd like to share today. Dr. Madsen is doing such incredible work bringing light and attention to challenges, very real challenges that women in Utah face. And it's important, it's been pointed out a couple times, it's important to note it's not just women. When women suffer, families suffer, men suffer, we all suffer together. When one isn't able to achieve their potential, we all suffer. So intentionally finding those who need opportunity, who have challenges that need to be addressed, that lifts everybody. And Dr. Madsen has done such an incredible job of shining light on these challenges and bringing people together to create that synergy to intentionally solve our problems. Now, I'm the Lieutenant Governor, as was mentioned. I'm the second woman ever elected to that position. And thanks, Mom. But before I was Lieutenant Governor, I was a state senator. I was elected to the Utah State Senate in 2012. And when I was elected to the state Senate, I'm a Republican. I'm not trying to bring politics into this at all, just to illustrate a point. I doubled the number of Republican women in the Utah State Senate. We went from 1 to 2. Now, last night, we had a big send-off for Martha Hughes Cannon. Anybody in the room there last night? A few of you. We had this opportunity to send a statue of Martha Hughes Cannon to Washington, D.C. to represent the state of Utah in our nation's capital. Every state gets 2 statues. For many, many years, our 2 statues, Brigham Young and Philo Farnsworth. When my mom found out that Philo Farnsworth, by the way, who is a great guy, very worthy of admiration and honor. But when my mom found out, she's from Idaho Falls, that Philo was one of Utah's statues, she's like, why is Philo's from Idaho? Like, why is he one of Utah's statues? So, but he was born in Beaver, so he's lucky to have 2 states that claim him as their own, right? But we had this opportunity to send a statue of a woman, Martha Hughes Cannon, who did something remarkable in a time where a lot of women were struggling to find any kind of civic voice. Martha was elected to the Utah State Senate in 1896. That's the year Utah became a state. That's the year that Utah women were able to vote once again. They came into the Union, became a state in 1896 with equality enshrined in our state constitution. One of only a couple of states at the time to do that. And she became a state senator before most women in America could even vote, 24 years before most American women could even vote. And that's remarkable. She was the first woman elected to the state Senate. 116 years later, I was the 27th woman elected to the state Senate. Now, to put it into perspective, we have 29 state senators. I don't know how many hundreds, thousands, I don't know how many people have served in the state Senate over the past 120, I'm doing math on the fly, which is never good, 8 years. But it was a lot more. If you added all of us up when I was elected, from Martha to me, we would not have even been able to fill the 29 chairs in our Senate chamber. So it's been interesting to me to see that while we started out really strong, and we've done a lot of good things, and we've come a long way in many, many areas, the work's not over. We're not done. And what I love about Martha is when she secured that right to vote, when she helped secure that for Utah women, she wasn't done. She wanted to make sure that other women elsewhere in other states had that right as well. And we can learn a lot of lessons from her. Once we have something, we need to make sure that we're seeing others and that we're helping other people get what we have or get what we want. As a state lawmaker, back in until 2021 when I became lieutenant governor, now as the second highest elected official in the state, overseeing all of the state, it's really easy for me to get discouraged by the problems that we see. A bolder way forward is the system-based approach, right? Eliminating silos, working together, solving big problems. But so often we can get discouraged by the problems that we see. How do you solve homelessness? How do you solve women's equality? How do you solve domestic violence? There are so many problems. And it can be tempting to get discouraged by the fact that we may think we're not solving the problems. But let me offer my perspective in a couple different ways. It's okay that you're not seeing an entire problem get solved. An entire problem probably won't ever get solved. Just because women got the right to vote in Utah in 1896 and elected the first woman to be a state senator in the United States doesn't mean that all of a sudden, and we had an Equal Rights Amendment included in our state constitution, doesn't mean that that problem was solved. It means that there was a really meaningful step on the path to solving that problem, on the path to equality. And when I get discouraged about problems, I have to remember that I'm not in charge of solving all of them. But I am in charge of maybe solving some of them. And I do have control over certain things in my life, and influence over certain areas. And those are where I need to focus. Those are where you need to focus. Let me give you a personal example. For many years, as a state lawmaker and as lieutenant governor, I've heard about the problem of domestic violence in the state of Utah. In homicides, most likely it's a woman that gets killed, and most likely it's a woman that gets killed by an intimate partner. This is a challenge that we can fix. We can intentionally work on. And it is something that can be eliminated. Will it be? I don't know, but it can be. But it didn't become personal to me until 2022. On August 17th of 2022, my 35-year-old cousin, Mandy, was waiting in Taylorsville at a bus stop for her bus to take her into Salt Lake City to work. It was 5 o'clock in the morning when her ex-husband was hiding in the shadows and stepped out and shot her 13 times. Learning about what happened to Mandy that day was shocking for me. It was shocking for my family. But what was worse was when I found out from the police, that was a Wednesday, that Monday, her ex-husband had showed up to her work in Salt Lake City and harassed her, and the police were called. And he was trespassed, and nothing happened. And then Tuesday, he sent a threat to her employer, threatening to kill everybody if he didn't fire her. And then the police took it seriously, but it was too late. By the time Salt Lake City detectives notified Taylorsville detectives that they needed to take a look at Mandy, make sure she was okay, she had already been murdered. So when I found that out, I thought, you know what? There are problems, there are holes, there are gaps. Let's find out what those are. And what we discovered was this guy had a long, long history of abuse and violence and threats. He was never physically violent to Mandy, but he threatened. And law enforcement always took those threats as an individual case. It's not that bad. That's just who he is. He just talks big. He never acts on it. But there was years and years of history here that law enforcement who were on the scene on Monday morning didn't know about. They also, I found out, didn't ask her the appropriate questions and take her seriously. So what we did was we went around the state listening to law enforcement, to sheriffs, city police, highway patrol. We visited with domestic violence shelters, service providers, judges, prosecutors, and even defense attorneys to find out what we could do better. And what we discovered was some police agencies conducted lethality assessments when they would go to a scene of intimate partner violence. And those are just simple questions to assess how lethal a situation is. But half the police agencies weren't doing that. And I wanted to know why. What were those barriers? And what we ended up doing was last year we passed a law that requires law enforcement to conduct a lethality assessment protocol, a LAP, every time they go to a scene of intimate partner violence. And not only that, but give them the tools to connect the dots. If Highway Patrol pulls you over in Box Elder County and you're not wearing your seatbelt, they may decide to just give you a warning. And maybe you get pulled over again in Washington County another time for not wearing your seatbelt. They can see that you got off on a warning before, and maybe they'll use their discretion to, instead of giving you a warning this time, they'll give you a ticket. Something like that was not in place for domestic violence, for lethality assessments, but it is now. Communication, working together, partnering, observing the challenges, the gaps, the problems, and doing what we can to fix those problems intentionally. We also require now law enforcement. When Mandy, my cousin, was murdered, they found a pamphlet for a domestic violence shelter in her purse. But she was never connected directly with a facility that could help her, to give her resources, to help her understand how to stay safe. But now, law enforcement, if they conduct a lethality assessment and it scores high probability of lethality, they're required on scene to connect them to a domestic violence service provider right then and there. And this has been a game changer. We also provided historic funding. It's not enough, but we provided historic funding. In the last almost a year, it was July 1st that the lethality assessment program started. We have seen over 10,000 lethality assessments conducted throughout the state. 63% of those are coming back as a high risk of lethality. And only 500 of the women or men who have been connected or been attempted to be connected with a domestic violence service provider have denied that connection. Most of them are getting help, or at least getting some information, at least making connections and understanding that there are resources there. This is something that can save lives. But I also recognize this doesn't solve the problem. It's a piece of it. And we're continuing to work on the rest of the pieces. And my message to you today is it's okay to work on your piece, to do your little bit of good, to lift where you stand, and to intentionally work with others to solve problems. And as you do, your eyes will be open to even more challenges and more problems that you can then corral other people in and make them aware of and help them solve. We can't solve problems that we don't see. But once we see them, it is an obligation to do what we can to work towards solving them. I encourage you, as you do this work, in so many areas, we have, I didn't count them, 18? A lot of areas that we need to work on. As you do your part, I encourage you to invite others along. This is a journey that requires everyone, especially right now when we live in a disconnected and a polarized world. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Remember, there are more people with you than against you, although the people with you sometimes are a little quieter. We have a lot of work to do, but we have come a long way. We've come a long way since Martha and her friends, men and women, who helped build the foundation that we get to stand on today. But our role now is to secure that foundation and keep building it so that we can hand it off to the next generation and the generation after that and leave this world a little bit better than we found it. Thank you for your intentional work in this space. Thank you for not giving up, for not losing hope. Utah's an incredible place to live in. And while we celebrate, and especially I know the governor and I love to celebrate, we're the #1 state, we're the #1 in all of these areas, and it is true. But we're not #1 in some areas. And we can be, and we intend to be, and we will be with your help. Thank you.
Ooh, that is our LG family. She is our lieutenant governor, right? Big rounds of applause, please. Family, I don't know about you, but I am on fire, right? The idea that we have this legacy, that Martha Hughes Cannon was the first to serve, that we have this incredible history, rich history of where Utah lands, and what this could mean for us as we think about the Boulder legacy, right? As Lieutenant Governor mentioned, the systemic response, we can be the individual drop or we can fill the bucket. We can collectively link together and work towards the greater vision, mission, and alignment of solutions that are gonna change the narrative and landscape of our state. That's exciting. And I pray that you are gearing yourself up to ask the question, what next? And how do I become a part of this larger movement? So again, truly grateful for our administration, for Lieutenant Governor and everything that she does for our state, for her vision, for the vulnerability that she was willing to share the story of her cousin that inspired such incredible action for us to have this new solution as it relates to lethality assessments. But as she said, we are not done. And because we are not done, we now have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Susan Madsen, who will tell us what we have done and what is left to do. And so I am pleased to introduce Dr. Susan Madsen, who is the founding director of the Utah Women in Leadership Project, which is the backbone organization for A Bolder Way Forward. She will provide insights and details about year one and the progress made. As mentioned, we definitely want to celebrate what's been done, but we also want to make sure that we are logistically and strategically mapping out where we can go together. Now, before I ask her to join, I do also, of course, as mentioned, right, I think it's important for us to do the professional, but also bring the heart posture to the work. I have 3 adopted mothers in the state of Utah: Maria Garcias, Emma E. Houston, and Dr. Susan Madsen. That's my mother that's about to join us on stage. So I expect, family, for you all to know that when she shares with you the stats and the data, I need you to understand the weight. That she carries in wanting to make sure that in her ability to tell the story behind the data points, that she's also encouraging us and inspiring us to think about a vision for Utah where women aren't being murdered, where our little girls have access to incredible quality education, regardless of zip codes, where sexual assault and sexual harassment is no longer a thing that prevents girls and women from thriving. Our boys, of course, as well, and people from all backgrounds. The strategies that we will unpack today, family, it is not just for me and it is not just for you. We are literally working for generations. So thank you once again for being here, and please welcome my mother to the stage.
Oh my, she got me crying already, and most of you have seen me cry. Like, every time I speak, I have to cry a little bit. But yesterday I was speaking at something, and someone handed me Kleenexes, and I'm like, don't worry, I don't get squeaky when I cry. I just keep moving. I just keep moving forward. So I'm going to attempt to stay at the podium, which is a first for me. I don't know. I've spoken at some graduations, some things where I've had to stay put, but I'm going to attempt. But I have a backup mic here if I need to wander. So, oh my gosh, it is just breathtaking for me to see all of you that are engaged in being advocates, leaders in this work. It is just such an honor to be here and to see you. And even though the data are hard, there's some celebrating to do. This is a 7-year movement. We launched last year. There's been a lot of work by a lot of people this first year, and this, as of today, we're moving forward on year 2. So I've titled this Celebrating Year 1 and Looking Ahead. Now, some of you that are in the Boulder Way Forward leadership have seen this slide. The metaphor I use is that we are building the bridge. We have the wheel. Most of you know the wheel, so I have 2 metaphors going. Right now, it's about we're building the bridge as we're walking on it, right? And so we don't have all the answers. We're just like seeing slats out there. And right now, we can see a few more slats than we did last year because we've laid more slats down. Now, I love this picture of this bridge. It has handrails, and I'll tell you in just a second. So think about bridges. And I've got a few other bridge pictures. Sometimes I think our bridge of this work in the state of Utah is a little slippery. We can slide, we can hit the edges. Hopefully we won't go off into the frozen river, but this work can move us around. It's shifting. So think about that visual. Think about this one. Sometimes we have been like hanging out, each of us doing our own thing and not connecting to things. And look at this. Yeah, I mean, it's a little rickety, but the Boulder Way Forward is trying to build the connections between things. This one made me smile. So think about this. Sometimes as we're crossing the bridge, we have like these still sides. Are you following the metaphor, everybody? Yeah, okay. Like barriers on the side and barriers on the top, right? It's not a glass ceiling. This is like a steel ceiling. I mean, you can see up through it. Can you see the holes? You can see a little bit up through it. But, and if something's on this, there's just enough room for one, right? So think of the metaphors, a few more for you. I really like this one. This bridge has been solid for a long time. If you get thrown over, you're going to have issues. But what I love about this one is that if we will look up, can you see the beauty? And that's what we have to do. We need to secure the bridge, keep moving forward. But remember, and a couple of my friends here today have reminded me that, put your head up and seize the beauty coming along the way. And I have to say, this is the bridge that I have put up mostly this year. This is what it feels like this year. Can I just say it? So we have made it across this first year. I don't feel like we've had handrails, but we're balancing, we're moving. We've made that. We're going to have a different bridge. We're going to start putting up the handrails. And so all kinds of things. I'm thinking about this next year. This is a firm bridge, but some good water and crashing coming around us sometimes. And we can look up and maybe there's a pretty bridge. But overall, the one at the bottom, I'm like, sometimes people say, well, this shouldn't be too hard to change things in Utah. I've had a few people actually say that. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump, okay? That was what the other picture. But what I want to talk about today is we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate the wins for this year. And that's what I hope to do in the few minutes that I have. And we have some awesome things after me, but we want to make sure we get done at 11 and on to our breakout sessions. So just a few slides to remind. We're not going to go through the whole Boulder Way Forward today. I'm doing good staying behind this podium. So I think I'm going to make it. As you know, national and statewide studies continue to show that girls and women in Utah are not thriving in critical areas. And the Boulder Way Forward says if we're serious about changing things, and you are here because you are serious about this, and you want to engage in the work. I've given a number of speeches this week, and I've had a couple of questions like, do you really think that we can change all this stuff? Because this is hard. And I'm saying, how can we not lean in? If we love our daughters and granddaughters, if we love our neighbors and friends, if we, 1 in 7 kids is sexually assaulted in this state. We're 9th worst in sexual assault and rape. That is unacceptable. I will tell you, can you feel it is unacceptable. We have to have a state where more girls and women and their families feel safe. We have to do more. Oh. Woo! So if we're serious, and we are, and you are, we need to create change much faster. So last year when we had our launch, we said it's a 7-year movement. Oh my, it's been a lot of work for a lot of us this first year. So we have 6 years. We've been laying the foundation. I want to take a few minutes and just run through some things that have happened. But as you know, if you've watched the video or heard me speak or someone else that was really inspired by this particular book, and really it is around, and I'm not going to read all of these, the systems thinking. We've been doing pieces and parts. We're great at pieces and parts in this state, but the needle's not moving in most areas. In a few areas, things are moving, needle's not moving, and we have to kick things into gear. We're great at pieces and parts, like I said, and now this movement is helping us move together as a system. And you know this model if you're here, all of those areas that are listed on all of our pull-ups as well. And so thinking about that is the Boulder Way Forward, helping more girls and women thrive. And I will say, as was said, I don't remember, it's the Lieutenant Governor or Nubia, that used that word historic. This really is historic. No other state is doing this. And I've had many states actually hear about it and reach out. I'm like, just give me a year, just give us a little time. We're laying the foundation, putting more slats on, right? And then, as I envision this next year, there are some things that are going to shift and start moving as we continue to be more strategic. Okay, here we go. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. There we go. So I'm going to run through some elements to just let you see what's been done. So before our 1 year, These are some things that were done. Conceptualized framework, gathered initial concept support, started bringing in partners, secured foundational legislative funding, and have to give a shout out, he's not here today, to Scott Anderson and Science Bank for all of their work in actually going to bat for us and getting that funding. So yes, thank you. We engaged initial spoke leaders at that time, launched the website, started inviting champions, began securing impact team leaders, and then started hiring and training staff. I had a few positions. We were able to get a couple of more. And so Colleen, Melinda, Bree, if you're listening in, stand up real quick. Deborah, Kylie, and Amy, they're probably over at the tables still getting people in. But any of you here? Anybody? Oh, there's a few in the back. Oh, there's people. Anyway, thank you so much. Okay, and then here is, so lots of pieces, not everything, just some key things. And so I want to report, let's celebrate for year one. And then I just have a few slides at the end for the next year in terms of some key goals. So we had the launch a year ago, continued to secure spoke leaders, continued to gather partners, and we have not even opened the floodgates yet. We're just getting the foundational partners in and so forth, and it's between 200, 300 partners, over a couple thousand people engaged already, but we need, I've got to get a number in my head, but I don't know, one that comes up, I don't know, I think we can do it, yeah. Oh, think? We can do it. About 10,000 people engaged by the end of next year, and then it's going to duplicate. Continued to secure impact team leaders, started hiring and training spoke coordinators. So we didn't know this at first, but we needed a paid contract spoke coordinator for all 18 spokes to make this work. And so moved forward with that, began developing spoke outcomes, bold goals and metrics. And can I just say, oh my crap, that has been a lot of work. That's probably not the best word, I don't swear, but crap and sucks just come out of my mouth sometimes. So that has been a lot of work for a lot of people because we don't have a lot of outcomes. We have a lot of outputs, like how many people show up. But that's taken a lot of time for a lot of work. We're getting so close. And then started preparing for a fall survey and began creating and convening committees. So real quick on this, and if you're in the room, please stand and be recognized. We have a couple of committees, well, 4. Mikkel, Bill, Nubia, Gina, Sid, and myself for Executive Impact Committee. We have a Research Strategy Committee, Jason from Envision Utah, Jennifer from Gardner Institute, Sean from the Utah Foundation, and Colleen on my team. Also an Executive Communications Committee, Jeanette, Carrie, Judy, Maria, Ruth, Julie, Jennifer, and Melinda. And then finally, Piper on the Public Relations Committee, Piper, Tiffany, Patricia, Sarah, Callie, Sonita, I need to turn this a little bit more, there we go. Melanie, Cynthia are on that team. And so after we did the committees, then we started forming county coalitions. This is a big deal. And I'll give you the punchline in just a minute. We started, there's 29 counties. I should have asked that question. How many counties are there in Utah? 29, here we go. If we're gonna change things like the abuse that we talked about, the violence, it has to get down to communities and schools and neighborhoods and families. And so these have been really, really important. Amy on my team and Deborah have done so much great work here. So collected data and the first fall survey, which has been really important for our metrics. And then we created an initial funding strategy. And I want to pause right there just for a minute. I have always hated raising money. Can I just say that? I hate it. I have hated it. I'm learning to appreciate it more. I'm learning and growing all the time in this area, and I have to say that I've had a couple of people, Jackie Zahner, who I think is here in the room, and Jennifer Smith, and others who have helped and coached me. What I have realized and what I have been taught is that we do so much as women without any money. And we sacrifice and we push forward and we do our best. But Jackie has been, and she's got a summit tonight and tomorrow, has really helped secure in my mind that this work will not continue forward in the way that we need it to, right? We can work, we can do things, unless significant funding starts flooding into Utah for the Boulder Way Forward, for the partners, but also any nonprofit organization in the state of Utah that's doing things for girls and women. We must, and there's a lot of giving in Utah. And Jackie and I have been talking on her team and trying to get that number, that how much of the funding is really related to girls and women stuff, and it's pretty small. And so of the big amount of funding, how do we move forward to get the funding needed to really move things in ways that need to? We must increase this. And for all the pieces, for counties, for all the work in the spokes and so forth. So that's really important. We've released key organizing documents, expanded communication reach, launched a newsletter. So many people have been engaged in all of these things, and the spokes have started holding spoke convenings, and I love it because I'm not at most of them, and I love that they go on and I don't need to be there. And they finished initial bold goals for spokes and then released 21 research reports. This is what they have looked like. And then last slide in this, well, not last slide, but the 26, recorded spoke informational podcasts, expanded the social media, and created metric dashboards. And we're still just finishing the last of those, but we do have dashboards now that will be updated every year on the goals that are set. And that's going to be important for us to think about where are we at in the progress. And then we held 18 spoke 2-hour think tanks on societal change, and I'm just grateful that Dr. Emily Gregory is here, because we're using, she'll just have a quick presentation after I finish on this societal change in the format of crucial influence. And then we started creating campus collaboratives. I wanted to show that. Those are just some of the think tanks that we've had. And then started creating campus collaboratives. And then last Friday, we were in Rich County up in Bear Lake. That was our 29th county coalition. That's huge. So if any of these people happen to be here, the people in these coalitions, some of them are just starting to be formed. I know there's a lot online that are joining from different counties. Please stand up so we can recognize. We'll clap at the end. So I'm not going to read all the names. I'm looking at the time, and our time is moving along pretty fast. But I want you to have a chance to just look at names. So Beaver County, awesome community group there. I absolutely loved being there. Anybody here from Beaver County? Nope? Okay, just pop up and go, woo, if you're here. Maybe, oh, wait, stand up. Woo, there you go. There you go. Okay. Box Elder County Coalition. Anybody here from Box Elder? Okay, stand. Yeah, woo, let people, woo. Okay, we'll clap, everyone. We'll move fast. Okay. Here we go. Cache County Coalition. Do we have leads or community? We got a couple in the back. Carbon County Coalition. Anybody here? Well, lots will be on. Oh, good. Awesome. Daggett County. Oh, there's only 900 people who live in the whole county. So we met with 8 of them, though. That's a good percentage. So, So that's still, we've got a few people that are teetering with the leadership of that. And then Davis County, I saw a few of you. Where are you? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, good. And Duchesne. Anybody from Duchesne? It's a kind of a hike to get over here. Okay, great. Emory. Oh, yeah. Okay. I love it. Garfield County. This was just last month. Anybody here from Garfield? They're probably online. We have, I expect from all 29 counties, we've got someone either in the room or online. Grand County. Anybody here? No? Okay. Yeah, good. Do you know where all these counties are? Okay. Yeah. Iron County, which is Cedar City area. Anybody here from Iron? No, I can't really see well with reading. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, there are. Come on. Yeah. So, Juab County, that was just last month. Anybody here? No, you're not claiming us. Okay, Kane County. We were just there like 4 weeks ago. That's Kanab and so forth. I know there's a few on Zoom joining or on YouTube joining. Millard. Anybody here from Millard? Yeah. Morgan. I was in Morgan 2 weeks ago. Woo! All right, nice. Paiute County, they have 1,200 people, and we had 12, so that's 1% of the population. So, Rich County, just last week, so, actually last Friday, so great to be there. And then Salt Lake County Coalition, we have 6 leaders. Anybody here from the leadership? Oh, thank you, Lori. Oh, quite a few, okay. San Juan, we're getting to the end of the alphabet here. San Juan County, anybody here? Just stand up, jump up, okay. San Pete. Oh, yay, thank you. Sevier County. Yeah, okay. Summit, not too far. Maybe there's some Summit folks in the room. Not seeing anybody pop, but again, we have a lot of people online. Tooele. Let me take off my glasses so I can actually see here. Okay, and Uinta? All right, thank you for, couple. Utah County, I did see a number of, yeah. Oh, yes, nice. Wasatch? Yeah, oh, a couple in the back. Oh, quite a few from Wasatch. Washington County. Yeah, oh, thank you for coming all this way. Wayne County. Okay, great. Weber, I've seen a couple of Weber. Yeah, thank you. And that's the end. Oh my gosh, a lot of counties. Oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? I went back and forth. Do I mention all? Yes, we needed to mention. You needed to see that there are people all across the state of Utah who care about strengthening the impact of Utah girls and women and care about doing it in their neighborhoods, in their cities, in their schools. And so as we move out, this will bring in more people to help make the changes that need to be made. Thank you to everybody for all of your work at the county level, at the state level, at all levels. And so back here, we finished, as I said, on 23, the creation of 29 county coalitions. I think we're there, but finishing, and Bree on my team has done so much work on all of this, finished impact team vision, thriving statements, finalized initial team structures of all of the spokes, and then, do you like 26? We're here! I love it! So thank you for lots of pictures and so forth, but as we celebrate, this is the last slide on the celebration, and we thought about having pom-poms, Melinda, yeah, we were like, what do we have? And then, of course, I go back to journals, thoughtfulness, all of that. That's an academic in me, right? But maybe pom-poms next year so we can celebrate. But can I just say, the work that has gone on, not just by me and my team, but by spoke coordinators, I'm looking at Lainey, by champions, by our spoke leaders who have really, and our impact team leaders, and all the other areas. There's been a lot of work going in, and I feel like it's not gonna, that bridge picture that's, okay. I'm feeling like it's a little steadier now as we move into the next year, right? And so let's celebrate, but let me just give you a couple slides and then I'm about done. In terms of looking ahead. So year one is really about that we built that basic structure and secured the foundation. There's still other work to do. But year two is really about connect and expand. So we're going to, and we're starting this already, but we've built out the various things that you've heard, but we have been so careful not to overwhelm the whole system. This is a big movement. Do you agree? This is big. This is bold. So we've built out the pieces, and this is going to be a big year of, and I do this on Zoom all the time when I'm talking, of connecting the pieces. We've been a bit in silos. We've had to. And now we're going to start connecting impact teams with spokes, county coalitions with impact teams to start really the connections. So connect and align the components, the spokes, impact teams. That's going to be big. This is going to be powerful this year. The county coalitions, campus collaboratives that we've been starting. So really, that is big. And wanted to put this, so each spoke has bold goals. So a bolder way forward spoke goals. So it's not just the spoke and impact teams that are doing the work. You have to get to the grassroots, people on the ground. And so we need to remember, and there will probably be more circles, the county coalitions are a key piece, impact teams, companies. We haven't even unleashed for companies, but we're going to do that very soon. Companies and other organizations. Campus collaboratives, women's groups, we've already started in that area, cities, towns, and counties. So that's how we're going to get the work done. And so that, again, looking ahead, number one is connecting and making those relationships. Two more things. Number two, raise awareness of the issues by making collective resources and tools. That means not just UWLP, not just certain people, but we're going out to collectively bring and package things so it doesn't overwhelm. We're starting with videos and things, 3 to 4 minute videos where you can just learn a bit about domestic violence in the state, a little bit about this, and see where your heart really and where your hands need to be. And so that we need to really put together those collective resources and then see. And this might be a surprise to some spoke leaders. We've had a lot of communication, but we're going to activate counties, collaboratives, coalitions, companies, families, individuals, and other entities with 3 key steps for each spoke to move Utah forward in year 2. So there's lots and lots of things that can be done. I've been saying it's not about doing more stuff. It's about doing the right stuff. So really having each spoke figure out what are the things that we can give the counties to do. It's going to be powerful. So year 2 is going to be really an important year. Now, as I finish up, I shared this last year if you were here. And I'm really moved by this Martin Luther King Jr. quote. Every society has its protectors of the status quo and its fraternities of the indifferent who are notorious for sleeping through revolutions. Today, our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake, to adjust to new ideas, to remain vigilant, and to face the challenge of change. We, in the state of Utah, have been sleeping we, maybe not you in the room, but most of the state around these issues, they're uncomfortable. We don't want to talk about them, but we have to moving forward. We have to wake up ourselves even, and we have to start, I see year 2 being powerful, to start waking up everybody around and helping them understand what the issues are and how we can change. So we need, do you agree with me? We've got to wake things up. Yes, yes, yes. So 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when Scott Anderson asked me to do a deep report on women's equality and all the metrics, out of 100 points, we were 29, and we were 7 points behind Idaho. And that whole year, I kept saying, if we can just get past Idaho, if we can just get past Idaho, we at least won't be the worst. Well, on that women's equality scale, we may not, on that one, because we're unique in a culture, be number 1. But I will tell you, the thing we can do better than anybody else, and I believe this to my core of course, is that we can be a national leader in how to transform a state with violence issues, with issues that you know the research, I can keep pounding on that research, into a state where more girls and women can truly thrive, and that means that our families better thrive, and that means that boys and men thrive. It's not scarcity, it's abundance. So as I conclude, I will tell you, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your head, heart, and hands to this work, because Utah needs each one of us. Not just me, not just Nubia. Nubia's pretty good. She can carry a lot in terms of Nubia. And my friend Sui Lang, who, it's not just us, it is everybody that we need on board. So one of the things that Nubia will tell you in just a minute at the end, actually, is that we're challenging you to grab 10 of the Boulder Way Forward cards, and in the next 2 weeks, make sure you hand those out to start spreading the word. Thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for showing up today and engaging in this work.
Thank you so very much, family, for being willing to give that standing ovation to Dr. Madsen. As you can tell, her passion for this work is very palpable. We have just made it a standard practice. We never apologize for our tears, right? And we should really learn that when our heart breaks for the work that we do, it means that we're not jaded. It means we're showing up fully. And again, it just really shows the commitment for how we see this transforming the lives of not only the people we love, but for the people that haven't even reached Utah and called it their home yet. So a lot of work left to do, a lot of opportunities for us to really link hands and arms and move this work forward together. So again, Dr. Madsen, thank you so much, Mama, for everything that you give. And it's now just a really great opportunity. We're going to move on to our final speaker in just a moment. But before we do, we recognize that collectively, what we tend to do at conferences is work. I like that song. Tell the governor I'm great, I'm very professional. So, but you know what we do is that we just engage and we continue to map out the things that are left for us to lift, carry. And sometimes we need to pause, because if our cups aren't full, if our hearts aren't settled, if we're not grounded and anchored, then there's very little that we can give back. So we decided to change it up a little bit, and we wanted to include a mindfulness moment so that as we lean into Dr. Emily George's professional development portion of our agenda, we would be able to take everything that Susan just shared with us and the inspiring remarks of Lieutenant Governor Henderson, but also listen to our bodies and make sure that we remain fully present, right? Some of us could be triggered with some conversations that we've had from our own scars and our own wounds, and some of the things that we've lived through or things that we know have happened to those that we love. And so we want to make sure that we are creating space to encourage you to do the work and encourage you to self-care. We can do both. We need our resilient leaders. So with that, I would love to invite Sui Lang Pinoki to lead us in a mindfulness moment before we turn it over to Dr. Emily George. So if I can have my fabulous and incredible sister, Sui Lang, join us. Please give her a round of applause.
Aloha. I just want to acknowledge my sisters that came before me, Nubia, love you so much, Jennifer, Lieutenant Governor Henderson, and I'm too old to be Dr. Madsen's daughter, so she is also my sister. And can we acknowledge her one more time with a standing ovation? I'm going to take a pano from the pulpit. So if you would all please rise, let's hear it for Dr. Madsen, the founder and visionary leader of A Bolder Way Forward. Okay, thank you for that, and thank you so much for being here. While all of you have been doing this amazing work, I am happy to report that I have been basking on a beach on the beautiful island of Kauai, steeped in meditation, and stepping into the spirit and mana of my ancestors that I carry with me today. My role today is twofold. Number one is to take selfies. Selfies play a critical role in the success of this strategy. So I encourage you to all also take selfies. Please post them. That spirit and energy that you share on social media absolutely elevates this work. Secondly is to lead us in a mindful meditation moment. So I'm going to invite all of you, and I spoke to some of you individually, to please engage in this. Set aside all of the thoughts, all of the responsibilities, all of the things that are running through your mind right now. Set aside your cell phones, your laptops, your iPads, any piece of technology that you have, and we invite you to engage in this mindful meditation that I literally wrote this morning on my rooftop in the hot tub, overlooking our state capitol. So if you feel comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. We are going to take 3 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Relax your mind, your body, and your spirit. Turn your focus inward and bring your attention to yourself. Thank yourself for making the conscious decision to be here, to be a part of a community of leaders, supporters, allies, and friends who care deeply about the lived experiences of women and girls in our community. Think about the unique talents and gifts that you bring to this space. What is your mission? What is your purpose? And how is it being fulfilled through the role you play in your organization? Know that you are strengthening and elevating the work in ways that only you can fulfill. Now envision your organization working in alignment with each member of your team. It is collaborative, it is cohesive, it is meaningful and productive. Each member of your team is strengthening and elevating the work in ways that only they can fulfill. Now envision alignment between each partnering organization in your spoke. Each organization's strengths are complementing the others. The synergy is collaborative, it is cohesive, It is meaningful and productive. Each organization in your spoke is strengthening and elevating the work in ways that only they can fulfill. Now envision each spoke of the wheel in alignment as we move the wheel forward. Roadblocks are being removed. Potholes are being filled. Barriers are being removed, and the wheel is moving smoothly in an upward trajectory towards the doors of opportunity. The gates are opening and welcoming women into a space where we can individually and collectively fulfill our highest potential. The energy and spirit fueling this work is collaborative, it is cohesive, it is meaningful and productive. Utah has chosen a bolder way forward to elevating and strengthening the work. We are serving as a model for the world, showcasing how Utah responds to the needs of ourselves, our families, our communities, and generations of women who will carry on the work that we are leading in this moment. Together, we are a bridge connecting people, cultures, and communities. The wheel is moving forward. Women's equality is our reality. How does it feel? Take a moment to revel in how good women's equality feels. I'm going to gradually invite you to bring yourself back into the space. Open your eyes. Congratulations on making this vision our reality. Thank you.
I think that was beautiful, and thank you so much, Sui Ling, for doing that for us. I think it'd be more effective if we were all in the hot tub with you, overlooking that incredible city. So next time, we expect the invitation. But again, right, family, just a beautiful, tender moment, quick pause, self-reflection, collective vision making, and just an invitation to listen to your bodies. So as you're going through, as much as you can tell we're celebrating, we also want to make sure we're taking care of each other. So share a lot of self-love and then love with those around you. And now we're going to transition to the professional development. So the steering committee recognized that while it's very important for us to make sure that we're understanding the bolder way forward, we want to learn tangible steps and skills. Dr. Susan Madsen has oftentimes talked about two books that have really influenced this work, How Change Happens, and the second one is Crucial Influence. So in the past few months, A Bolder Way Forward leaders have been working on understanding deeper societal change, and all spoke leaders and others have been meeting with Dr. Madsen to wrestle with the change framework used in the book Crucial Influence. Before I read the next section, I do want to acknowledge that we have several of our elected officials in the room. Can we have them stand, please, and give them a round of applause? Excellent. See here. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, because when we talk about crucial influence and societal change and systemic impact, we know that so much of that work is done on the Hill, it's done in city councils, it's done as, through our mayors. And so the stakeholders that are in the room, we just want to honor and acknowledge. Thank you for your leadership and the way you show up for Utah. So this next section that we're going to focus on with Dr. Emily Gregory, joins us. She joins us today as she worked for years with the team who created the Crucial Influence Framework. She is a Crucial Conversations co-author, speaker, and consultant. Dr. Emily Gregory has received her medical degree from the University of Utah and her MBA from the Marriott School of Business at Brigham Young University. We have the privilege of learning from her about behaviors crucial to effective leading and living. And so it is my pleasure to invite her to take the stage, and I ask that you give her a warm round of applause.
Oh, good. It's so wonderful to be with you all, and I have a new personal goal. Nubia and I this is my first opportunity to connect with her, and next year I want to be one of her sisters. Like, that is my goal. That next year you're gonna be like, and I'd like to welcome my sister, because this is a beautiful family to be a part of. As Nubia said, I'm going to share just very briefly a quick idea with you about a framework for how you can influence lasting behavior change. So Crucial Influence is the culmination of 3 decades of work, all trying to answer this one question: why do people do what they do? Because when we start to understand human behavior, when we start to see all of these challenges as challenges of behavior, of people doing something, then we can unlock the influence of how to lead that change in lasting and sustainable ways. So to get started, we're gonna do a little bit something not nearly as serious as all of the things that we've talked about so far. I have an influence challenge for you. This is actually a real life influence challenge that's a lot easier than the one you all are facing. Here's the situation. A large global airlines, Al Nippon Airlines, many years ago did a study. They did a research study, and they calculated that if they could get all the passengers on their planes to do one thing before boarding that plane, they could measurably lighten the load of that plane, which would ultimately save them in fuel costs and reduce their carbon footprint. They just had to change the behavior of every single person getting on their plane. So the question is, what's the thing? What do they need to get everyone to do? Yes, use the bathroom, right? 240 pounds is what they calculated, right? So yes, it is use the restroom. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. And it's like, this is like a 30-second thing here, right? I just want you to turn to the person sitting next to you in groups of 2 or 3. What would you do if you had to get everybody to go to the bathroom every time before they got on a plane? Go, take 30 seconds, go. With a group this big, but I love hearing what people come up with. So if I could just, a few people, if you would raise your hand right there. Oh, the bathroom has not been cleaned in a few weeks. That is disgustingly effective right there. Yes, right here. I love this. She's going to tell the truth, right? Shocking idea. Reduce the carbon footprints, reduce our costs, right? It's better for everyone. Okay, great. All the way in the back. Yep, that's you. You're way far back from me. Hand out water at the where? Oh, in the terminal, right? Hand it out, right? Okay, I love that. Close to that, by the way, one of my oh, yes, right over here. This will be our last one. Ooh. Move the bathrooms closer. In fact, some people sometimes have say you walk through the bathroom on the way to the plane, right? Like, it's just right there. And then if you add like, for some of us, women of a certain age, if you add a little trickling water feature, oh, it's like magic. It's just like, it's like a switch, right? All right. So lots lots of different strategies that we can come up with. And this is what I love about this question. We all have a way of thinking about influence, about behavior change, right? Around changing the environment, around how the tools are organized, around telling the truth, right? One that didn't come up, but I'm guessing it was somewhere in the room, is it often does, is frequent flyer points, or my very favorite, which is charge, to use the bathroom, swipe your card on the bathroom door, on the plane, right? They charge us for everything else, why not that too? We all have a way of thinking about influence, but often it's not transferable, it's not systematic, it's not systemic. And so when we come up to tougher and harder and more persistent and profound and resistant behavioral change problems, we get a little bit stuck. So what my partners at Crucial Learning did is, again, spending about 30 years of work trying to answer these questions. We read 17,000 different articles on change, traveled the globe, looking at people who had been able to tackle tough challenges like domestic violence, like sexual exploitation and trafficking, like drug addiction, like homelessness, like disease prevention. And this is what we found from all those influencers, and we've distilled it down into this model, which I'm going to show you briefly here today. The basics of the influence model says this. There are 3 keys to influence, and if you're going to influence, you have to understand how the world works. So if you start on the left, this is how the world works. There are influences around all of us, different sources of influence. And those sources of influence shape our behavior. And based on what we do, day in, day out, based on what all of us do as a society, that is what drives the results we get. So that's the way the world works. But that's not the way you should be looking at this model. Because the people who want to lead change, not respond to it, but lead it, they start on the right. And they do exactly what Dr. Madsen has been pushing you to do for this last year, to say what are the bold outcomes, not the outputs, not what are we going to do, but what are we going to achieve. What are those measurable results that we're driving for? And once they do that, then they backtrack. And this is where you are now, to say, what is the actual behavior? What is the thing I need someone to do in order to drive the results that we want? And once you've got that, then you need to look at all of the sources of influence. We call them the 6 sources of influence around people to drive those results. Because the truth is, the world is perfectly organized to get the results you're currently getting. Our state and all of the sources of influence in it are perfectly organized to drive exactly where we are. If we want to change where we are, we have to change those sources of influence. Now, the one idea I want to leave you with here today is about using multiple sources of influence. And one of the very best ways I can think of doing it is to show you this really fun science experiment. So this is a young man named Hiram Grenny. His dad, Joseph, is one of the co-authors of Crucial Influence. He's going to set up this experiment and show you how the power of using that system, of using multiple sources of influence at once, can transform. It becomes like a tipping point, a leverage point to say, we're going to go from just pushing change to actually achieving change. So let's watch. Up to work.
What you're about to see is real. Real kids doing real things. Just thought you should know. My name's Hiram Grenny, and I was there for the whole thing. So here's a question. What does it take to get people to change? And I'm not talking about their socks and underwear, but change behavior, especially when it's hard. For example, every year close to 100,000 people die from hospital-acquired infections. That means people got sick at the hospital. And it turns out one of the main culprits is hand hygiene. That means just getting people to wash their hands could save lives. So my crack research team decided to conduct an experiment to see if we could change something as difficult as hand washing habits, only with the toughest subjects of all, kids. So here's what we did. We took 80 munchkins and put them into groups. First, we gave them a challenging puzzle to put together. You know, kind of like the projects you adults are always busy with. Then, we gave the kids a tempting distraction.
Hey guys, I got the cupcakes for you right here. They're delicious. I'm gonna set them right over here.
once I see that you guys have put the whole puzzle together correctly, I'll raise my flag, just like this, and then I'll blow my whistle. Okay? And when I do that, you guys can all go and get your cupcake. So what would it take to get these kids to wash their hands? How about a good reason? So one thing you guys should know, there was a sick kid in here playing with the puzzle pieces. He had a runny nose and coughed a lot, so there's probably a lot of germs on everything. But there's hand sanitizer over there on the table that you can use to wash up. Okay, which will win out? Delicious frosted cupcakes or the fear of the typhoid toddler? Let's watch. They finish their task, and look, if the threat of one sick kid wasn't enough, just look at all the new germs popping up. So with all those good reasons to wash, what do you think they'll do? Okay, so that was a colossal failure. Now what? Well, at this point, most adults would quit. That's why you just keep changing the year on those New Year's resolutions. With the next group of kids, I changed the environment by moving the hand sanitizer closer and then put up a visual cue. This ought to make hand washing easier and more obvious, right? And in the end, the motivation to not get sick plus changing the environment didn't influence a single kid. Yikes. Next, I increased their ability, which is another source of influence. I had them all complete what is known as deliberate practice, or training, to increase their familiarity with good hand hygiene. Will adding another source of influence get these hand-washing offenders to wash up? Done. And... well, now we're seeing some better results. We're combining 3 different sources of influence, and some of the kids are actually washing their hands. It looks like we're on the right track. So next, I added another source of influence, social influence. What if somebody spoke up and said something? What would happen if their bosses were in the room with them? Here come the cupcakes. And there goes the flag. Will they wash? No! Look at them pouncing on those cupcakes like a pack of ravenous hyenas. But it's not too late, because something important happens. At just a critical moment, a peer, not even one of the bosses, speaks up.
Wash your hands.
Watch the effect. Success at last! So social motivation obviously made a difference. But was it the only thing that mattered? What about our other sources of influence? Here's what my kids had to say.
This sign. I was walking over to get my cupcake, but then someone said, wash your hands, because this boy had the sniffles in here.
So what's the point? We often underwhelm overwhelming problems. We try a couple of things, and when they don't work, we give up. But my dad and his colleagues discovered the secret to overcoming tough problems. You need to combine at least 4, preferably more, sources of influence. And it doesn't matter if you try it with kids or hospitals, at the office, or even at home. If you use 4 or more sources of influence, your chances for success go up 10 times. 10 times! So there it is. The key to changing almost anything is to marshal the power of at least 4 or more sources of influence, but preferably all 6. And heaven knows, we need it.
So there's no one right solution. There's no one right answer to that question of how do you get people to go to the bathroom before they get on the plane. right? What our research has shown is that the most successful influencers, the people who truly can create sustainable change in the face of profound, persistent, and resistant problems, harness the power of all of those sources of influence. And when you do that, as Hiram mentioned, the research shows that when you use 4 or more simultaneously, not sequentially, you are 10 times as likely to succeed. So my challenge to all of you, as you think about the challenges you're facing and the behaviors you want to change, is to think about what are all of the sources of influence and how can I impact those to drive that change. Now, on a very personal note, as I was thinking about those kids, as I drove out here this morning and as I left my neighborhood, there was this pack of girls, and they were giggling and laughing and on their bikes, and they looked like they were headed to the park. And over the last hour, I have thought back and flashed at that moment of those girls from my neighborhood so many times, because they are just, I know they're just at the park and they're running and laughing and playing, and it's a beautiful summer day. And they have no idea that there are hundreds of people right now in this room who are working to make their lives better. It is humbling what you are doing. I am so grateful that I got to just be a small part of it today, and I wish you on behalf of myself and my daughters, I really wish you all of the best because you are doing incredible work. So thank you and good luck.
We're running late, so we're going to do this last part quick. I think it's off.
And Dr. Gregory, you are officially my sister.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
that
it happened.
was awesome.
It happened.
And that is the model we're really just gone through, that we're going to be more thoughtful, not just more stuff, but the right stuff.
And we will be watching who washes hands today, family.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
All right, as we're going to our first breakout session, I've saved the core leadership of the Boulder Way Forward for the last. And so we're going to do this super, super quick. But when I have the slide with you as leaders on there, pop up and wave real quick and go down. No clapping for anybody. Just do it until the end. We want to get you in. So in the safety and security spoke, Chris, Jake, Lorianne, Alexa, are you there? Right there. Okay, great. Thank you for not clapping. Okay, domestic violence spoke. Jennifer, Leah, Sierra, and Carrie. Where are you? There's in the back. I don't know. They're around. Poverty, homelessness. Karen's here, and Peggy and Nancy are on trips. So Karen, where are you? Oh, she's probably in the room. So these are the people you're going to see. Sexual assault. Stand up if you're in the room. Liliana, Julie, Tally, and Danielle. I think some of them have gone to their sessions already. I know Nancy, Amy, Helen, and Lori are here. Okay, there we go. And then on the health and well-being, Audrey and Stephanie and Erica and Amy, are you here? Oh, in the back. Turn around. Well, oh, yeah. Okay. Home and family spoke. Lisa, I know you are all here. Lisa, Tiffany, Jolie, and Caitlin. They're probably in their room. Oh, yeah, not too. Okay, community engagement, Becky, Luna, Nina, and Lori. Yes, great. And then education, in the finance spoke, Melanie, Susan, Brittany, and Angela, are you in here? Yep. Oh, a few different places. Yep. Excellent. And higher education attainment, Katie, Jessica, Bryn, and Carly. Oh, there's Claire in the back. Okay, there we go. And K through 12, Joanne, Brittany, Deanie is on vacation, and Lainey's here. All right, and then the workplace. Last one, childcare. We have Jamie, Janelle, Cammie, and Anna. Oh, in the back. Perfect. Yeah, I guess we needed to have you go, woo! Entrepreneurship, Anne-Marie, Seth, Tara, and Aubrey, sorry about that. Gender pay gap, are you in the room? Oh, way back there. Katie, Rachel, Geneva, and Rachel. And then leadership development, Sherlane, I know Jamie's not here, and Eleni, great. Okay. And then organizational strategies, Pete, you're here, Chris, you're here someplace, and Kristen. Awesome. Great. And STEM, Amy, Sid, Kristen, and Melinda, Oh, they're in different places back there. And finally, I think this is the last one, yes, on the spokes, Robin, Catherine, and Angela. Thank you for leadership, all of your leadership. And then very quickly, our impact teams, which are all already, they have sessions as well. Megan, Cochelle, Kathy, are you here? Yep. Good. Great, great, great. Arts and music, Natalie, Tasha Campbell, over here.
Right here, perfect.
Interfaith, Holly and Lena are not here, but a couple of other people will do that. LGBTQ, Rosa, Sarah, Ann, are you in the room? Yep. I'm seeing people back there. Male allyship, I know Tina and Richard and Jackie are all here. Excellent, and you're sitting together. I love it. Neurodiversity, Mariana and Christina. Yep.
Got 'em.
Race, Emma. I saw Emma. Is Emma and Z here? She was helping at the desk. Yeah.
she's in the
Oh, in the back. Refugees and immigrants, Natalie and Samara.
They're here.
Yep.
She's in back.
And sexism, Lisa and Holly, I've seen you both. Where are you? They're looking for sexism. Yes, it's all around. And Veterans and Servicewomen Impact Team, Emily and Lisa. Excellent. And then finally, Women's History Impact Team, Catherine and Rebecca. I know I've seen both of you. They're probably in their room as well. So before Nubia just gives us a conclusion, let me just say we're going to go to the breakout sessions. These are the rooms. Let me give you just 10 seconds of guidance here. So if it says all hands, and when it's session 2, we'll have this on the board too. All hands is in here, okay? If you are Beehive and Lone Star, I can't remember which one is which. I can't hear.
Lone Star
Lone
and
Star is
Beehive.
there. There'll be 2 groups. And what was the
Beehive
other?
in the back.
Beehive. Keystone is the only one that's that way, and everything else is behind. So just everything else is behind. So all hands here, Beehive and Keystone, or Beehive and, oh, I'm trying to go so fast. Lone Star, Keystone over there, everything else behind.
All right. Family, I know that was slightly confusing. Look at the name of the room. We will make sure that we direct you. Do not be afraid. We will get you where you need to
Lots
go.
of
But we do need to get you out into your sessions to respect the time. So we just want to say thank you, and we will see you here at the end of your sessions. Thank you, family. Big rounds of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you.